Welcome everyone to Detecting and Removing Blacklisted Applications with Goverlan. I'm Ezra, joined by Victor, and today we're going to be taking you through a couple of examples of how to use Goverlan to find blacklisted, unapproved, or otherwise unauthorized applications in a complex environment, and use Goverlan's tools to report on them, even alert on them, detect them, and remove them. So we've done a little bit of work adding these, what we found are dangerous applications to our environment, so that we have some good examples of how to get rid of them. So just to introduce this a little, why are these 4 apps considered dangerous? Why would we want to blacklist them?
A couple of reasons. Flash, given that it's now being built in by default into Windows 10, so there's no need to have it additionally. And then we have some security. There's some security issues with iTunes as well, and QuickTime, given that QuickTime has been depreciated, and as well as legacy versions of Java, which of course I don't think I need to explain that one.
Right. And obviously there's a ton of other applications that you may want, for whatever reason, to not allow in your organization. Are the examples we're going to show versatile enough so that I can literally detect any app?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So where are we getting started today, Victor? What are we looking at first here?
I guess first what we want to do is go ahead and create a report so we can just query and check out all of our machines for any of these unapproved apps.
So am I going to start with just building a Goverlan custom object? Is that where you would recommend?
Let's start with a scope action.
Okay. So we'll jump into scope actions here, and I'm just going to create a new one. And we're just going to call it the Detect Blacklisted Apps. What's it? Oh, okay. So we want Adobe Flash. We're going to do QuickTime.
Java.
All right. And I guess in this case, we're targeting computers. And so if you're familiar with scope actions, this is Active Directory integrated. It can obviously also add an IP range or grab individual objects. We're just going to go and scan through our demo workstations here. And hit next. And here, first, I guess all we're doing is just building a report. Is that basically the idea?
Yeah, pretty much so. So what we want to do here is just on the top portion, we want to tell Goverlan what we want to come out in the report. So in this case, we want to go ahead and go to software products and get the name. And most usually the install date is another one too, because I'm sure we want to know when that unapproved app was installed.
Okay.
And then right now, if we run this report, we'll get every single product and every single install date. So how do we make it so that we get exactly the info we want? And that's the conditions area below.
All right.
So in this case, we're going to point back to the same software products, and we're going to identify them by name.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of different conditions that are available when it comes to trying to create a condition that works and is versatile. One of my favorites is contains one or more, and that are comma separated. So it really simplifies being able to create a simple condition and being able to add all these names of these apps with commas in them. So in this case, we will go with Adobe Flash. Comma.
iTunes.
Yeah. iTunes, QuickTime.
And because we're doing the contains, obviously we don't need to get the exact product name, right? We can just a partial product name that will help us identify. And we always start with a report. And I guess the reason for that is to make sure we get these conditions right so that we don't accidentally uninstall other things that are Adobe related. So we're just going to do a quick verification that we're pulling in the right details. Is that?
Yeah, because when Goverlan will do, what's great about the conditions is that Goverlan will do anything that you state up here in this area based on whatever the condition is. So in this case, we're doing a report, but we can add an action, which we'll go into after, is use this actual condition and execute an action based on machines that return on this condition. So it's extremely versatile, but in this case, we'll just go ahead and start with a report. And there's the easiest way to verify that your conditions are actually working properly and returning the objects that you're trying to managed, should we say.
Do I need to add anything else into this? So, I mean, what I expect to get is the product name, the install date. Obviously, the machine name is going to be included. And then the condition is, that's it, right?
Yep, that's pretty much
right. So I'm just going to hit OK here. And we're just going to run this now. And any specific format you want me to put this in?
I guess we can start with the data sheet because that was the one that I really liked when it came to doing this.
All right. So let's see what happens. No, we didn't move fast enough. So. All right, so it just opened on my second monitor here, so we're just going to drag this over.
So what's cool about this report here is that, by the way, we have 5 or 6 settings, 6 different report formats. This is one of our HTML formats, which I love because it's extremely easy to use, and it's basically just click and point. So in this case, the report objects are organized by the machines that you query. And it's cool because you just go ahead and click on one of the machines and you can see what results came back. So in this case, we can see that this machine only had, of all the 4 apps, it only had Java and Java 8 and the auto updated.
Okay.
And then if we go, for example, to Longhorn 2, we can see Longhorn 2 also has QuickTime, has Adobe Flash Player, and it has Java. So it's just a good way to isolate the machines and look at them in a way where they're organized. Now, we have a different report format, which is select report format. The table format, which gives you everything more laid out at once. So as you can see, it's going to do 1 entry per machine and the actual product name. So this is just a different way, and this is all, you can organize this yourself. So depends on your preference, but these are the 2 reports that I'm pretty much.
And that obviously Excel, CSV, that kind of stuff we can do too, right?
So if you want to go ahead and export it to CSV, we have an Excel document, CSV, which is the blurb, and then text as well.
So, what we ended up with so far is just very, very simply put together a report where we found just these unapproved applications, just instances of QuickTime, Java, iTunes in one case, and then Flash Player. And really didn't do a whole lot of work to get this information put together, right? Yeah. All right. So I guess in terms of next steps, we want to talk about how we can remove these. So any caveats in terms of uninstalling software?
Yeah. So when it comes to uninstalling software, it really depends. Most of the time, vendors properly package their software and when their app is installed on their machine, they install it basically with an MSI backend to it. So what happens is that for example, like Adobe, they go ahead and when you go ahead and query the information on one of the software, for example, like Flash Player, and you go into properties, you can see that this was properly installed using an MSI package, and it has all the built-in Windows uninstall strings, which is just the standard MSI exec, so on and so forth. But there are other apps that don't follow this standard. And one of those apps is Google Chrome, for example. If you go ahead and look at Google Chrome within our administration and diagnostics software products toolset, you can see that it doesn't have a lot more of the available actions, for example, like remove, like this one, data repair. And that's because Google Chrome, even though it does have an MSI it installs with, it leaves behind its own exe to uninstall Google Chrome. So you cannot use there's no MSI exec/x command to remove Google Chrome. They have their own exe that whenever you go into programs and features in Windows and you hit that uninstall, it actually calls to this exe here. So I'll just show you guys so you can see. So in this case, it's not even an MSI exec. It's an actual setup.exe that's in the Chrome folder with their own silent strings that they have included. So as you can see, this is not something that us as IT guys, we keep in mind. These are not standard switches here. Usually it's like a slash on install, but these are like 2 slashes. So you have to do a little bit of investigation based on the app that you're trying to do, but most apps follow the proper MSI installation. For example, you can see Adobe Flash, we have those options. QuickTime has it. Java has it. So most apps have it. Goverlan as well.
So I guess what would be the difference between an app that has it and an app that doesn't have it? So like I can see just from clicking through here that I couldn't just use an uninstall MSI on Chrome. What would I have to do differently?
Well, what you would have to do is you would pretty much have to create an action that calls to this process right here, setup.exe, and then run these switches, which you can do with Goverlan with no problem. But it's it's an extra action that you have to do. You have to do a run a process, and it's not a natural feel when you want to go ahead and uninstall an app.
Okay.
So when it comes to apps that are basically have a setup that are installed the right way, so it's a lot easier to get these apps uninstalled.
So the apps we're uninstalling today, I mean, I can see that Flash has it, and I can see that QuickTime has it just because the remove is showing up. What about the other two? Java looks like it has it.
Yeah.
Do we need to be concerned with iTunes?
No. iTunes has it as well, just this machine doesn't have iTunes. So we'll just have to see which one. But yeah, iTunes has it as well.
Okay.
So so in this case, because of the fact that I went ahead and I saw that these apps already have their own uninstall strings, proper uninstall Windows uninstall strings, we can go over here and we can simply make a copy of this exact action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rename it to remove blacklisted apps. I'm going to hit next. I'm going to hit next again. It's going to keep that same scope that we were in before. And next, and we're going to go back to this same action. Now here is the report. So like I was saying before, we use this report to confirm that this condition is reporting back the information in the machines that we're actually trying to manage. So in this case, we now can go ahead and remove this because we don't want to create a report. Now we want Goverlan to perform an action based on this condition here. And the action that we basically want to do is execute computer action, software products again, and uninstall instance. Now, as you can see here, there's a little modal that says uninstalling the software product instance on the computer, and it says, warning, this action must be used with a condition. So we have other methods to go ahead and uninstall. Like you can package up your own exe that does the uninstall. But in this case, we're going to use the uninstall instance because it's the most lightweight method and quickest method to go ahead and have Goverlan try to uninstall those apps.
All right.
So all Goverlan does when you go ahead and say uninstall instance, Goverlan is going to look for the actual app name, and it's going to go and see that uninstall string. And what it's going to try to do is run that exact uninstall string to uninstall the app itself.
So basically, if I verified in my report that there's nothing in there that I don't want to uninstall, then I can just add the uninstall instance, and it's going to uninstall. I guess what I'm asking is, it's only going to uninstall these items that showed up in the report.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it, at least when it comes to the uninstall. I mean, it's very, very, very simple when it comes to Goverlan, especially when you're using apps and trying to uninstall apps that have everything, the Windows installation standards behind them, like Adobe, iTunes, QuickTime, Java, those apps.
So are we going to run this? I guess. All right.
Pretty much we're done here. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. And that's pretty much it. We're going to hit run now. So now what Goverlan is going to do is going to go ahead and go to each machine and go ahead and attempt to uninstall and initiate the uninstall of those.
All right. So I guess we got a couple of seconds to kill here. So do you want to show us how you would remove Google Chrome from a machine as opposed to, or any app that doesn't include that uninstall instance string?
Yeah.
Or the uninstall MSI?
Yeah, no problem. So it's very simple again. So we're going to go back to Google Chrome, and we're just going to hit that property window. And then we hit this little icon on the right to put it into a text file. And all we're going to do is we're going to copy, or what we'll just leave this to the side, just so that we can show you guys. So close this out, and then we'll just create another action real quick. And hit next. In this case, we'll just go ahead and add the one machine. And then here, it's not going to be execute computer action, software products, uninstall instance, because now we have to call to a process that's local to the machine. And this is where you can see how Goverlan gets really, really powerful when it comes to trying to do things behind the scenes without disturbing your users. So right here, we're going to use the execute a new computer action processes, and we're going to run a new process. And it's self-explanatory. What we're telling Goverlan is do me a favor and execute whatever process name on the remote machine. And then we have obviously all the other permission and preferences that we have. So in this case, we want to run this exe. So we'll just go ahead and copy it with the quotes and paste it into processes. Oh, it was all done.
All right. Well, we'll jump back to that. Just our uninstall is complete. That was our notification. So we'll let Victor finish up.
Okay, cool. So the process name, there it is, setup.exe. But now we need the argument strings, which is the switches. So in this case, we'll just copy this. Now here we want to select the run as type. This is extremely important. Make these little 3 dots. You can see how you want to run it. 0, run as a local system account. 1, run as a console user, which is the remote user that's logged into the machine, or run as a specified account. In this case, I always recommend putting it as 2 and specifying the highest level account that you have access to, which I like to use the domain admin. So let me just administrator. And that's pretty much it. You can tell Goverlan to wait for the completion. So basically all Goverlan is going to do is just going to monitor that setup.exe process and just simply wait for the exe to close itself. You can do that, set that to true if you like. You can have Goverlan basically have a patience limit, I like to call it. The wait timeout. So sometimes you never know how long an app is going to take to uninstall, for example, in this case. So I would...
we've always used this where we were trying to run a verification report afterwards, and Goverlan sometimes works too quickly.
Yeah.
So if you want to report to verify that your app was removed, just add a little bit of time, slow the process down a little, so that this way the app's totally removed before Goverlan reports on it, I guess, right?
Yeah, and this is a cool way to also gauge your installation times and such. Like if you know for a fact that you've gone and you've uninstalled Chrome from 20 machines and you know it only takes 30 seconds, then you can go ahead and put it to 2 minutes and then kill the process on timeout, so that it'll automatically kill the process if it passes over the 2 minutes here. And then you have the hide execution window, and which you want to go ahead and put true so that it doesn't show it. And that's pretty much it. At least when it comes to an app like Google Chrome that has its own custom uninstall string.
So just as a rule, if I see that remove button, I can just go uninstall instance because I know there's a packaged uninstall MSI. But if it's not there, I just run the uninstall string and pass in whatever argument strings I see as well.
Exactly.
Seems simple enough.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the uninstall of Chrome. You can just run this later.
Okay. And so I guess now what we need to do is jump back and verify that all of our blacklisted apps were indeed removed. So what would be the fastest way of doing that?
We're just going to go right back to our original report.
Okay.
Pretty much. And we're just going to go ahead and run it. So in this case, we're basically going to get a execution report. And what's going to happen, what you're going to see here is that it says process 6 notes processed, and it says has no errors. What this means is that Goverlan went ahead and was actually able to communicate with the agent on the machine and query and see if those apps were there. But it didn't find any. So this is basically telling you, hey, I went ahead and I went through these 6 machines and I did not find any apps matching what you had, but I ran it successfully.
Awesome. So we basically detected and removed these 4 apps. And obviously, given that we're using kind of a more free method of doing it, where we're doing a partial need for the product, you can pretty much remove any application you want, whether it's Dropbox, whether it's Adobe Flash, whether it's one of the others we provided in the example.
Yeah, and what's quick about Goverlan as well is that you don't have to use a scope action. If, like, say you went ahead and you did this project and you eliminated 100 machines, but there are little machines here and there that are going on. Scope actions obviously is for one-to-many. You could use it on one machine, but you can also use the versatility of the administration and diagnostics tool to be able to manage one machine at a time in those one-to-one instances. So I'll just give you an example here. We'll go ahead and search for Longhorn, hit set focus, and Goverlan will put us into that OU. And here I'm just going to go to software products. I already have the software products basically prepackaged here. And you can prepackage and pre-create them as you please. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and hit Java and reinstall Java on there. This is going to be fairly quick.
Now, what about detecting this stuff on an ongoing basis? Because, sometimes, we remove blacklisted applications, but we have some users who are local admins or have permissions to reinstall stuff. Is this something I can run kind of on a schedule, maybe say once a day, and just see if anything else is going on that I need to be concerned about?
Yeah, you can, Scope Actions have the scheduling capability, and as long as whatever machine you set the schedule on is online, powered on, you don't have to be logged in, or Goverlan does not need to be open. But after you schedule it, you can go ahead and schedule Goverlan to run a report at whatever interval you like, and send you an email based on that condition.
Okay. And there is a question about can it find just, I guess, specific older versions of Java, but keep the most recent ones?
Yes, so I'm glad that you pointed that out, Christopher, because I wanted to point two things out. One, thankfully, Java finally, since 8 and update like 60 and above, they included a beautiful switch called removed out of date JRES, which it took me countless hours to find, but I found it. So you can use this switch along with the with the Java install package, and Java itself will attempt to remove any out of date Java packages.
So when I'm patching Java, I can have it remove all the old stuff.
Yeah, but say that doesn't work, like since update 60 and behind, I'll show you the method that I had to use with Goverlan to go ahead and manually search for those old Java installs and remove them. I'll demonstrate that now. Okay. But going back to the one-to-one instance, so here, say one of our users contacted us, or I saw that he had Java installed. You can just open up the software products, click the app, and just go ahead and do it. So there's just another way that you can do it on your one-to-one manual basis. And Goverlan will go ahead and do that. So once this is done, and you can see how quick that was, and it refreshed itself, and there it's gone. Now, I'm going to go real quick back into the remove blacklisted apps here. Okay, so what you can do here is you want to first remove Java from this product name, because right here we're saying Goverlan, hey Goverlan, anything that has the name Java in it, uninstall it, please. So in this case, we definitely don't want that, so you would remove basically that condition from here. And then what you can do is you can separate the actions up. So we'll just go ahead, and this will be remove. We'll just remove this here.
So everything but Java.
Yeah.
And now we're going to add a specific one to remove previous versions.
Yeah. Remove old versions of Java. Thankfully, Java includes their version and revision number within the product name of the app. So it's really, really easy to find. Same thing, same action, execute computer action, software products, uninstall instance. And then here, we're going to go to tell Goverlan, I want you to remove a product name that is not equal to, or actually, that contains. No, actually, I'm just going to put contains. That contains Java. Actually, no. That, what I want to do, I'm probably just going to do.
You can look at the report just to see how it brought in product name.
Yeah.
We still have it open in Chrome.
The product name contains. Yeah, because I know it's Java 7 update.
Right.
So there you can go ahead and do that. And then what you can also do is you can specify it by version, but this is basically the simplest way that you can do it. And then you can add more if you want it to be specific, if you want to add specific versions of Java.
Well, that's an interesting question. So can I add another condition to say and do like an and? So it's like product name contains Java 7 and update revision number is not, 111 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
so you can say product name contains Java, and then you can say, let's see, software product name not equal to or doesn't contain right here, Java update. Now, this is another way, a good way actually to do. Actually, we can just go ahead and so you're telling Goverlan here, it doesn't continue. So uninstall all apps that have that don't contain uninstall all apps. Actually, we can change it just to Java.
Right.
That start with Java, that contain the word Java, but that don't contain the latest version. So it's going to analyze all of them. It's the first thing it's going to do. It's going to pull up all apps that have Java in the name, and then it's going to go to the next condition and then analyze that condition of all those lists of the Java apps that doesn't contain Java update 1.11. So then that's how it does it in order. And that's pretty much it when it comes to using Goverlan to remove old versions and forcing it to say, hey, I want this machine to always have, or for you to identify any machine that doesn't contain this software version. So let me see. I think we answered the OR condition.
Well, I think let's just specify that again. So to do the OR, we're going to do contains one or more of the following, right? Isn't that kind of
yeah?
the
And also another thing, the OR statement you can also put here is the set scope. That is another thing to be aware of, because, for example, if you highlight one of these conditions, this is where you also set the OR for one specific condition. So in here you can say this is the child condition scope, and you can say only one or more of instances of this program must pass the condition for the computer to be accepted. So in this case, you want to put all instances must pass this condition for it to be accepted. So this means that it's going to go ahead and only accept machines that have Java installed. So it'll go ahead and ignore any machine that doesn't. And in here, you can say as well, all instances as well. So it's going to force only accept machines that have Java and only accept machines that don't contain this latest version. And that's how you can put it in the OR.
And this question we did address. So do these actions only run when the console is running, or do they run through the central server? And actually neither. The console does not have to be running, just the machine has to be on. So how are these scheduled actions running if I have an action running on a schedule?
So Goverlan takes advantage of the built-in, the built-in Windows task scheduler. So that's why we're able to go ahead and execute, those scheduled scope actions without the machine needing to be logged in or without Goverlan needing to be logged in. And please note the Goverlan Central Server, its only responsibility is to push out policies, at least Goverlan Central Server version 2, is to push out policies and preferences to your consoles and for auditing. It is not required for Goverlan to function. Goverlan is completely designed as a standalone app to run directly from its exe from any standard tech machine that's Windows 7 or higher, with the basics of 2 to 3 gigs of RAM, the basics of a tech machine, should we say.
All right. Well, I think this gives us a good idea of how to detect and remove any blacklisted application, really, in just a few very simple steps. So there was one other thing we wanted to cover today, and that's just some of the latest stuff that we're pushing out there. And Victor, we've been talking about, you mentioned the Goverlan Central Server and its function as a policy server. So we just added an update, or we're about to release an update that adds some new functionality to the Goverlan Central Server, namely having it act as a proxy for licensing. What would be the point of that? Like, why would I want that?
Well, it's actually a cool feature. It's mainly for those clients that have machines that don't have access to the internet. Or that they have our licensing, should we say, or they're behind like a firewall and they have to go ahead and add our licensing link or link to be able to have that computer communicate with our licensing server. So what you can do is you can forward all Goverlan activation requests to your Goverlan Central Server, and that way all you need is one machine which has the central server being able to hit the internet or have that whitelisted Goverlan license website.
Okay. So basically, instead of having all of your machines communicating anytime you sign in and sign out of the console communicating with us, they're all communicating with your Goverlan Central server, which is then communicating with us. So almost acting as that proxy, I guess.
Yeah. We actually have another question here from Tim. He says that he has a laptop and he travels from site to site all the time. So he would like to know if he would be better off to install the Goverlan system on a terminal/utility server at each site. Now, in your case, yeah, if you are traveling all the time and you're one of those mobile techs, you can keep Goverlan on your machine with no problem. The only thing that you want to keep in mind is your scheduled scope actions. So if you do have specific scheduled scope actions, we actually have clients that just purchase one scope action module because they're modularized, and they'll put that one module on a static server. And that'll be their scheduled scope action server, and then they use just their standard Goverlan admin console to do whatever management they want. So it's very versatile with that. But yeah, and again, Goverlan is now sign-on based, so you can go ahead and have that installed on a terminal server as well as your laptop and sign into both of them.
So if you're using Goverlan 8.5 or greater, you can install Goverlan on as many machines as you want and just sign in, sign out wherever you want to use it. And I guess the other question is, can I install this on a terminal server or publish this as an app or anything like that?
Yeah, we are 100% Citrix certified, so you can go ahead and publish Goverlan on as I published it.
Like a Zen app type of
Zen app, there you go. I was like, what's the Zen app? You can publish it through Zen app as an app itself, or you can publish it to a desktop, whatever you please. Goverlan is completely versatile with that, especially with our new licensing system. It's
cool.
Great.
So I guess that about wraps up today's session on detecting and removing blacklisted applications. Just want to thank everybody for joining us today. These are always great to be able to do these, and definitely appreciate your guys' participation. We welcome any questions. You can reach out to us at goverlan.com/support. There's contact details. We're available on live chat, and we hope to see you all at a future event. Thanks so much, and have a great weekend.